Oh yeah. No. Man I've ever met. Lieutenant Joe Kenda.
Hello. Hello. I only have one important question. That is, have you had a good time? The whole point of these things is for you to enjoy it. And we try to see to it, Carl and I, and Ilona, and Kathy, and Brian, and everybody else, that you have a good time. And you have access to us, and you can talk to us. We even respond. I've seen a lot of people who are in the business I'm in just not be nice at all. And I told myself I'd never do that. I never have. My other advice to you is, if you go on a New York cruise, and you go to New York City, which I go to unfortunately a lot, my best advice is, in any form of public transportation, if you're in a limo, if you're in a cab, if you're in an airline van, whatever you're in, do not look out the windshield. Because you will panic the entire time you're looking out the windshield, because you assume you're all going to die in the next 3 or 4 seconds. You look out these side windows, and you admire the shopping people, and you look at the stores. Don't watch the guy drive, as he will be a 64th of an inch away from cars on both sides, and somewhat less than that from the car in front of him. And this is the way it is. And Kathy learned that a long time ago in limo. She just looks out the window, because she would be yelping as we're going through these streets. You know, it is a crazy place. There are too many people there. Other than that, New York is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. A lot of things to go do. Pick your average price of anything you can think of and multiply it by a factor of 9, and you will have the price of New York City. That includes hamburgers, Cokes, beer, whatever. Not everywhere, but most everywhere, particularly in hotels. If you stay in a hotel, I recommend you not eat there or drink there, because the prices will take your breath away. You can go right within a half a block or so of a hotel and find a place to have a drink or eat or whatever. It'd be reasonably priced. Not in a hotel. They're in the business of making a lot of money, which they're pretty good at. Other than that, if you go early, there's many things to do. Go to the Empire State Building observation deck, go to Central Park, go all over the place. New York is a fun place. Take a Broadway show. Kathy and I go there to Broadway shows quite a bit, and they are a blast. And if you get a drink during intermission, they give you a sippy cup. You're all a little kid again. You don't want to spill a drink in their theater, so you get a sippy cup, and you go back into the theater, and you're like you're 4 years old again while you're having a drink during the day. But it is great fun, and I think that next trip will be fun as well. Kathy and I enjoy this, being on this cruise with all of you. It wouldn't be for all of you, this show wouldn't exist. It would not exist. It would be relegated to the trash can. A person at Discovery told me recently, they said, we're in the 70% fail business. 70% of what we do fails. People don't like it, they don't watch it, it lasts 1 season or 6 months or 2 weeks. We cancel it. Then we have 20% that's okay, and some people watch it. Now we're up to 90%. And so we have 5% that's pretty good, and people watch that. Now we're at 95. And they said, and then there's 4% that's really good, and everybody watches that. And then there's Homicide Hunter, and he said, that is lightning in a bottle. And I thought that was quite an expression. I think Discovery is giddy about how successful this is. I don't think anybody knew, and I certainly didn't know, that this would be that successful. I just didn't know. I told my wife, isn't it? Watch this crap, it's just murder. Because to me, that's all it is. Well, Larry Martin thought the same thing when I walked in his office one day. He's looking at me over his glasses like I maybe need a good psychiatrist, and I told him about this. And look at it now. You know, it's just a remarkable turn of events. I am living proof that even a blind pig finds an acorn once in a while. That's what all this translates to, you know? How could you ever anticipate this happening in your life? No one could. No one could. The odds are unable to be calculated, I think, for something like this to do what it's done. From a cop from a flyover state, you know? But here we are. Here we are. So it's Mrs. Kenda's fault, of course, but everything's her fault. So it's just more convenient that way, to blame her for everything, you know. But she's the one that convinced me to pursue this. I wasn't interested, but I'm interested now. And I'm working on a second book. We're negotiating with publishers now for a second book. We're running a contest right now on the air for season 8 for a walk-on role and meet me in Knoxville, Tennessee for next season. That's the game that's going on now. We met the guy who won last year, and he was an electrician from Oregon. He's a hell of a nice guy. He never won anything in his life. He said, I've never won anything in my life. I said, well, you're wrong there. You won this. He said, well, you're right. So we put him in a suit and a tie and gave him a kind of a badge, and we made him a detective. He was thrilled. We gave him a couple of lines, and he thought that was great. So he really had a good time. People enjoy all about this. They do. And they're fascinated by it because it's very, very different, as was I when I started. You don't know how this works. You find out how it works. And it's a lot of really smart people who work really hard. That's how it works. Jupiter Entertainment does a phenomenal job organizing this, filming it. Our person who's our producer and our director do excellent work. Our director of photography does excellent work. And as a result, it's just a very, very compelling kind of show, which is what everybody wants it. The other thing I think is the reason it's successful is it's a singular story each week. It's not a soap. You don't have to tune in next week to find out what happened. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end every week. And television has gone to the soap opera format more and more and more. Continuing characters, sexual tension, who loves who, and all this nonsense. And it's invented, it's fictional. Ours isn't fictional. It's real people who do some really incredibly stupid things. And the result is a story is there to be told. And I was the guy selected to tell it. For those of you that don't know this, and some of you probably do by now, but some of you are first timers on this thing, I have no script, I say what I want. They take out the profanity, I don't know why they do it. But they do, they take it out. I know they don't in Ireland. They don't worry about it anywhere else in the world except this country. He worries about everything. He worries usually about all the wrong things. But that's what we do here. We worry a lot, you know, all the time about everything, except anything important. So anyway, there's no script involved, and it's directly out of the case report. The legal department of Discovery makes absolutely certain of that because we're not inventing anything, and they will inquire, is this in the report? Yes, it is, page 328, you know, whatever. Okay, because it has to be what we say it is, and it is. So that makes a difference as well. There's no enhancements of this. Now, there are things we leave out. Unimportant characters are left out. Dead ends are left out because we have an hour to tell the story, not 6 weeks. So I select the highlights of the case and how we get from A to Z, and that's the show. It still presents well, but if we did it any other way, it would be confusing and annoying and you wouldn't watch it. Homicide investigation is frustrating. It can make you crazy. You get on this rabbit warrant, it's the wrong one. Oh God, we spent 2 weeks in here and there's nobody in there. You know, it's terrible. So we don't do that on the show. We go from zip, zip, zip. We bring along to different people, but there's a lot of people in between in reality. But the advantage to this is this television. It's not court, it's television. It's entertainment ultimately, but it's absolutely from a true story. Not based on a true story, it is a true story. There's a big difference. There is no add-in anything to this. They're all facts from the case, involving all people involved in the case. Some of whom are criminally charged and convicted of murder or whatever. So that keeps this thing going along. Everyone's always curious about Mrs. Kenda. You'll learn more about her in the next to the last episode this year when it's the Kenda Show, where she will be presenting what it's like to be married to me. I told her to be sure and lie so they don't cancel the show. A lot of people rely on me, you know, to figure their and sell their paycheck. My kids will be on it, it's surprising, but the kids will be on it. So it'll be interesting. You know, I think it'll be interesting. They really like the idea, so Jupiter likes it. So I think that'll be fun. And we have a lot of good stories yet to tell this season, and we'll have more to tell next season. And Larry and I get together all the time and talk about cases, and Larry and I are the same. We both say, hey, wait a minute, what about that one? Oh yeah, that guy. You know, because there's so many, nothing pops to mind when somebody says an interesting case. He was talking about one just yesterday that was really interesting that I knew about and forgot about. And now we're going to do it, you know, next year. You know, so it's like, oh yeah, that guy. You know? So there's always something going on. And there's always people who engage in criminal behavior. And that is unfortunate. So on that note, I'm going to bring Mrs. Kenda up here, and she's going to join us with another microphone. And you may ask us anything you like.
But wait, there's more. I want to put you on the spot. A couple of years ago, you told me this anecdote about how you had to get a search warrant signed by a magistrate, and you tracked him down to a hotel room. You knocked on his door. He's wearing.
I'll tell the story. Let me allow me, please. I was close to retirement as a detective, and I informed this young detective that the judicial system does not trust the police because we could be incompetent. Worse than that, we could be evil. So warrants for a first-degree murder, a person is held without bond in Colorado, you're taking away his freedom and his stay is taken away until he goes to trial to prove or disprove the case. It requires judicial review. We must have a district court judge, who is the highest level of judge in Colorado, review an affidavit supporting an arrest warrant for first-degree murder before the arrest can take place. We use a system of on-call judges for this purpose. On this particular occasion, I called the judge's home at 2 o'clock in the morning. And his wife answers the phone, and I said, is the judge in? No, he said he'd be working late. And I didn't say it, but my thought was that you believed him. He said he has a pager, and if you page this number, he'll call you. Okay, so I page the number. He calls, and he's drunk. And I said, so Judge, we need to have you review this warrant? Oh, okay. I said, where are you? I don't know. Hang on. And there's here a female voice give him an address in Manitou Springs, Colorado. It's in the west side of the city. We'll be there in 30 minutes, Judge. Okay. So we drive to this apartment. This young cop's looking at me like, oh, what's this about? Judicial review. You know? So we get out of the car, we go up the stairs, we knock on this door. This woman answers the door. She too is loaded, all right? She's wearing a bathrobe, nothing else. The robe is open about a foot. The young cop enjoyed that. And I said, is His Honor here? He's in the bedroom. Excuse me. We stepped by her. And sitting on the bed is a district court judge in a pair of shorts and a Mexican red sombrero that had to be 4 feet across. And he was so drunk he couldn't hit the floor with his sombrero. And I said, Judge, I have a warrant for you. Okay. I hand it to him. It's upside down and he's trying to read it. So I turned it around and I said, and he looks at me, he says, Kenda, is this a good warrant? Yes, Your Honor, it is. You know? Give me my seal out of my bag. And he signs and he clips the seal on the thing, and here we go. This cop has got his jaw in his chest where we walk up. I said, you see, my boy, we have now experienced judicial review. We're not smart guys. But that fat-mouthed drunk in the sombrero has ensured us that we have the authority to take a man's freedom away from him. More or less. So let's go take his freedom away. And that's exactly what we did. But yeah, that was, the judges, yes indeed. That was amazing. That judge no longer is a judge. He died in a one-car DUI accident not too long after that. That was surprising, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Kathy Kenda.
Question? What?
How long have you been married?
51 years this Christmas.
Okay, so I have a microphone. I'm going to run around. I forgot to bring my roller skates, but I'll try to go as fast as possible. Yes.
Hello, I'm Diane from New Orleans, and this question's for Mrs. Kenda. It cracks me up on the show how, y'all in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner or just a Tuesday night with the kids and this and that, and all of a sudden he gets a call. And it's like, oh, honey, I gotta go. I'm like, okay, have a good one. And you get stuck with the dishes and the kids to go to bed and this and that. And it's hysterical the way they do it on the show. Is that really how it went down?
Sometimes. And sometimes not. Just depended on what mood I was in, whether the patients in the hospital were crabby or good, whether the kids were being crabby or good. Typical.
Okay, this is Renee from Utah. I have a comment to make and then a question. First is my comment. Joe, you are so serious on the show. Your lips don't move, there's no emotion, but when you laugh in person, you have the greatest smile.
One does not smile when you're talking about somebody's loved one who's never coming home again. Murder is a serious business. That's why I don't smile on the show.
I have a comment about that. There was a reporter who brought his cameraman to the door of our house to have Joe comment on a murder, and I don't remember which one, and opened the door, and the guy stuck the camera right in his face. And my kids were sitting there at dinner. Now they were much older, and Joe was very mad that the reporter and the cameraman were there at our house, and he told them a few things. Dan looked at me and he said, gee, I've never seen Dad not only not move his lips, but not move his teeth. And he said, I think I'll go to my room. Picked up his dinner and he went to the room. And my daughter looked up and she said, that's a good idea.
Okay, here's my question. Several seasons ago, you're out at a concert or something, and you're dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. You got a call out. and the next thing we know, we're watching you at the criminal scene, and you're in a suit. Do you really go home and change?
Yep, you go home and change, you go home and change. I required at the time, we present ourselves as people in a profession. And because of the nature of the profession, I required black, dark blue, or gray suits, no loud colors, no red anything, no flashy ties. We are basically funeral directors and we should look like one. So I would go home and change clothes and dress. And I'd expect my officers and my boys and girls to dress the same way. We present a professional appearance even at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I had a kid who worked for me who had big ears. He's like Prince Charles. I mean, if there's a wind current, he may be leaving the building. And he was just, it was an accident of his birth. But he came to work one day in a red sport coat. And I said, Frank, you look like a fire truck with the doors open. Go home and lose your coat. You're going to tell somebody somebody's dead, or you're going to ask somebody about somebody dead, and you're not going to be doing it in a t-shirt and blue jeans or in a red sport coat. So that's why, yeah, you go home and you change. And I had a girl come to work one day, recently divorced, and she was interested in male companionship, one of my detectives, wearing a leather top and a leather skirt. She's in the morning meeting. I said, hey, Joanne. Yes, sir. Go home and lose the biker chick and come back. Yes, sir. No more leather thing, you know, this and that. So that's good.
Yes, Barbara from Palm Desert. This is for Kathy. One of the first meetings, your husband mentioned that you were an artist. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little about your background and what you are doing in that field.
I don't have a background in art. I have a background in nursing. I took an art class to get away from the kids and him. So I paint just for friends and stuff like that. I do oils and acrylics when I have time.
What she doesn't want to tell you is she's sold her paintings. She's actually legally a professional artist. She has sold her photography. She's a professional photographer by definition. She doesn't like to say that, but it's true. She's extremely talented. And her paintings are wonderful. They are.
Okay, next question. Who's got a question for the candidates? Okay. On my roller skates.
I'm Pat from Boulder, Colorado. And this is a totally weird question, but on the show you always wear a blue shirt. Is
No, I can explain this. Trust me, I can explain this. Television is all about consistency. They tell me, okay? Now these are the art directors and the creative people. Creative people are generally dressed in a Raggedy Ann outfit, sitting in a field of flowers, staring off over the horizon and saying, what do you think we ought to do? You know. Okay. You know, so they say that French blue, the color of that shirt, brings out the blue in my eyes. You ask me, that's what they say, okay? So I looked at them like, what? Well, that's what it's going to be. So I own a lot of French blue shirts and gray suits, and they want that, and they get upset if I just suggest that I want to wear something. No. You'll wear the uniform of the day, French blue shirt, gray suit, period, the end. You know, and that's what it's been after all these years. It's just bizarre, but it's like putting on a uniform because it's going to be a French blue shirt and a gray suit. You know what I mean? So that's all I can tell you. That's what they say.
Did you wear that when you were working?
No. That's what made it so funny. I mean, we never wore color. We wore white shirts mostly.
Except
The green shirt.
green shirt.
She bought it. She's Irish, okay, to the core. Half Irish. I've taken her to Ireland several times, but it hasn't been enough apparently. She must go back again. And so she demanded I have a green shirt. So I had a pale green shirt, which I hated, and I never wore it. But I couldn't afford to have dry cleaning done. Cop and a nurse, 2 kids, and a place, you know. So that was the last shirt in the closet. Because it was always the last one. So she had to iron when she saw the green shirt. Because she knew there weren't any more. Because I never wore that unless I had to, you know.
Hi, I'm Diane from Texas. Kathy, I have to yesterday. I was just wondering, how did you two met, and was Joe a romantic young man?
We met in high school. We were at a basketball game. He was there with a date that his mom had set him up with. So he wasn't real crazy about her. I was there alone. He saw me. We got to talking. He left the date high and dry. Except he did take her home because mom had to drive. So we started dating from then on. Next thing we went to was another basketball game. I think that's the last basketball game I've ever been to in my entire life.
I think it is when my mother found out that I was no longer interested in her best friend's daughter, she opened the oven and got in. That wasn't good, but oh well. I didn't want to marry my mother, I wanted to marry her.
So we dated through high school, and then we dated till one of us got out of college because we knew the parents would not pay for college if we got married while we were still in college. So I got out first, and then we got married at Christmas, and he got out 6 months later.
When I got out of school, Kathy, we were married. We've been married for, God, 60 days. I mean, we're long term, you know. And she said, you know, I think we should combine our money because we're married now. You know, the comment, yeah, that makes sense to me.
I was working at the time, so I did have a checking and savings
Yeah,
account.
she did. It's supporting in a style I was accustomed to. But anyway, I said, well, that seems reasonable. You know, so I said, here. And I took out 38 cents out of my pocket. And I put it on the table, and I distinctly remember that amount. I said, here it is. And she said, well, that's it? I said, yeah, the rest of it's on your left hand. We're a little better now than we ever were then. But oh yeah, those were the days, man. We lived in a 4th floor walk-up apartment in such a bad neighborhood that we didn't even qualify for apartment 7C. Our apartment number was 7C rear. We didn't have a peephole, they just had a hole in the door. And somebody painted a face around it. Very nice. Oh yeah.
At one time I was out at night and a guy started following me home. So I started walking fast and he started walking fast, and then I started running and he started running. Then I started running up the stairs and he quit about the 2nd floor. I figured she's not really worth it.
I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a bad part of town.
Hi, Donna Riley from Park City, Utah. My husband travels internationally, and when he leaves, he travels constantly. When he leaves, I'm always in prayer, safe travels, relieved when he gets there and can text that he's home, he's in his hotel safely. How did you handle it when he walked out the door? I know you've been raising kids and you had your career, but in those down quiet times, how did you handle it emotionally, mentally, until you could hear from him and know that he was okay or back home again, and you could see that he was okay?
Well, back then you didn't have cell phones, so I didn't hear from him. I knew that if nobody knocked on my door, I was okay. I just went ahead and did what I had to do, and if it was a downtime and I didn't have to go to work the next day, I usually had a drink. You know, but you just live your life. You just go on.
Okay,
I had a guy.
We have a question over here.
Say one more thing.
Hi, I'm Nicole, I'm from Riverside, California. Considering how busy you were, you know, and the responsibility you felt for the department,
How many family vacations were you able to take during your career?
We actually did,
relax.
we actually did pretty good on the family vacations, especially when he was in patrol, because you could schedule them. We didn't go very far or do very much because we didn't have any money. It was either going back to Pennsylvania to visit my family or go up to the mountains and stuff like that. But we did pretty good. When he was in a lieutenant in homicide, he was over a lot of things, not only homicide, but he was over all different kinds of stuff. And so he was on call all the time, so the kids were in college and we still didn't have any money. And I got upset that we hadn't been on a vacation in a long time. So he kept saying, I have to be on call. I'm the one in charge. I have to be on call. I said, you don't have to be on call 365 days a year. Yes, I do. I said, okay. So I called his captain. And I said, hey, I said,